All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep into Unreal Engine 5.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, this isn't just about video games.
Right.
This is about tech that could honestly change how we interact with the world around us.
Yeah, it's already being used in a ton of stuff. Blockbuster films,
Oh, wow.
even NASA simulations.
It's crazy, right?
It's wild.
So we have some really cool source material for you all today
Awesome.
about Unreal Engine 5 and its potential impact.
Mm-hmm.
But the really cool thing is this engine isn't just for creating those crazy realistic games you might be thinking of.
Yeah, it's like the foundation of so many different things. It's like a car engine, you know?
Oh,
You might not see it, but it makes the whole thing run.
gotcha.
Unreal Engine is like, it's behind the graphics, the physics, the sounds you hear,
Wow.
even the AI in games and simulations.
So it's used in so many places. Does that mean the company that makes it pretty much runs the show? Epic Games.
Well, yeah. In a lot of ways, yeah.
Really?
They've set a standard with this tech, and their influence is really clear when you look at all the games using it.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever played Fortnite? Or maybe PUBG?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely spent some time in those worlds.
Those are both built on Unreal Engine.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and it goes even further than that.
Oh, wow.
Classics like Minecraft, Final Fantasy.
No way.
Yeah, built on Unreal Engine too.
Mm.
It just shows how diverse it is.
I never would have guessed that games as different as Minecraft and like those crazy realistic shooters are built on the same engine.
It's pretty amazing.
It really is.
And remember those amazing environments in Avatar?
Oh, yeah.
Unreal Engine had a hand in making those too.
Okay, my mind is blown, officially.
Yeah.
So let's talk Unreal Engine 5 specifically. Like, what makes it so different?
Yeah.
What makes it this next big thing?
So Unreal Engine 5 is a game changer for a couple big reasons.
Okay.
Two big advancements.
Okay.
Nanite and Lumen.
Those are some cool names.
Yeah.
But what do they actually do?
So imagine a world where you can't tell what's real and what's virtual.
That's the dream.
I know, right? That's what Nanite is trying to do.
Oh, wow.
With Nanite, developers can create objects with insane detail.
Okay.
Like so detailed, it's like they're real.
Really?
Think of a leaf on a tree, you know?
Yeah,
We all know how complex a real leaf is,
totally.
with all its veins and textures.
If I tried to draw one, it would look like a sad green blob.
Exactly. But with Nanite, those leaves in a game can have that same level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
It can render the veins, the textures, all those tiny details
Right.
until it looks just like a real leaf.
Wow.
And it does this by breaking the objects down into billions of tiny pieces,
Oh.
almost like a digital mosaic.
Oh, that's cool.
And each piece gets rendered with amazing precision.
So it's bringing that wow factor to the virtual worlds.
Yeah,
What about Lumen? Is that like for lighting or something?
you got it.
Really?
Lumen is all about the light.
Cool.
It mimics how light behaves in the real world. Think about, sunlight filtering through a forest, or the way the surface of a lake shimmers.
Yeah, it's those little details that
Yeah.
just pull you in.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Lumen brings all of that to life in the games.
So no more of that flat artificial lighting
Nope.
that makes games look, well, like games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's what's really interesting.
Yep.
This all happens in real time.
What?
It's not like those pre-rendered cutscenes you see in movies,
Oh, right.
which are basically mini-movies they make beforehand.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 is generating everything as you play.
So it's like adapting to what's happening.
Exactly.
Perfect.
The light, the shadows, everything reacts to you moving around.
Wow.
If you move around an object, the light and shadows will change just like in real life.
So the game world is actually responding to me being there.
Yeah.
It's not just a static backdrop.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And this has huge implications for how immersive games can be.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that with Unreal Engine 5, the line between games and films is going to get really blurry.
Really?
Imagine, like, stepping into a world as visually stunning as Tenet or Avatar.
Oh, wow. Okay, that would be amazing.
Right.
Let's say I'm in this incredibly detailed world.
Yeah.
Realistic lighting, but what about how things move and behave?
Right.
Do they still move in that, stiff video gamey way?
That's where the Cowell's physics engine comes in.
Okay.
This makes sure the virtual world obeys the same laws of physics as the real world.
Like what?
Like, objects have weight, they have momentum, they collide realistically.
Yeah.
So it's not just about making things look real, it's about making them act real too.
Gotcha.
Imagine knocking over a stack of boxes. With cows, they won't just disappear or clip through each other.
Yeah, that's always weird.
Each box will tumble realistically,
Right.
bounce off others,
Yeah.
scatter across the floor.
So it makes the world feel more solid,
Yeah.
more believable. I like it. So what else can Unreal Engine 5 do? Like, what other tricks does it have up its sleeve?
Well, let's talk about AI.
Oh.
Artificial intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 uses AI to make creatures and characters act more realistically.
So no more enemies just running at me in a straight line.
Exactly. Imagine exploring a cave. You encounter a bunch of bats.
Yeah.
With AI, they'll react to your presence.
Oh, wow.
Scatter as you get closer. Or maybe you're tracking wolves through a forest.
Right.
They won't just mindlessly charge at you.
Right.
They'll stalk you intelligently.
Oh, that sounds kind of scary.
It adds a whole other level of immersion and challenge.
It definitely makes things more interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe a little scary, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's all about making the world feel more alive, right?
Exactly.
And it's not just about the visuals either.
No.
Unreal Engine 5 also brings a whole new level of realism to sound.
Yes.
It uses something called convolution reverb to create these super realistic soundscapes.
It's amazing.
So, like, if I'm walking through a canyon, the echoes will sound different than if I'm in a wide open field.
Exactly. And even further than that,
Oh, wow.
if you're in a cave, you'll hear those subtle drips and echoes.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it changes as you move around.
Mhm.
It's adding another layer of immersion.
They're basically trying to trick all of our senses into thinking we're really in these virtual worlds.
Pretty much.
But can it really get that real?
Well, that brings us to one of the biggest challenges in creating truly believable virtual experiences.
What's that?
Humans.
Oh, right.
Even with all these advancements,
Yeah.
video game characters can still look a little off.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It all comes down to how complex the human face is.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We spend our whole lives reading faces,
Yeah.
interpreting all those subtle cues, and recognizing people based on tiny little differences in their features.
Right, right.
Trying to recreate all that in a virtual character, that's a huge task.
And it's not just about making them look human. It's about making them move and express themselves like a real person too, right?
You got it.
Like the eyes are super important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They convey so much about what someone's thinking and feeling.
Oh, wow.
And when a virtual character's eyes don't move or express emotions in the right way,
Right.
it triggers that sense of unease we talked about in Uncanny Valley,
Right.
even if the rest of the face looks really realistic.
So it's like our brains are constantly looking for anything that seems off.
Totally.
Anything that breaks the illusion.
Exactly. And that highlights that even the most advanced technology is still bound by our own human perceptions.
This is getting deep, but it's really fascinating.
I know, right?
It makes you think about what this means for the future.
Totally.
What if we eventually create virtual humans that are basically indistinguishable from real ones?
Right.
What would that mean for how we interact with technology, with each other?
Those are definitely questions we'll need to grapple with as this tech advances.
It's crazy to think that we could be just a few years away from having conversations with virtual beings that feel just as real as talking to another person.
Oh, I know. It's almost like we're entering a new chapter in the human story.
Wow.
One where, the definition of human might need to be re-examined.
It's incredible to think about how this technology, which started with video games, is going to ripple out and affect so many different aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, our source material also mentioned Unreal Engine 5 being used in film,
Yes.
animation, even by NASA.
It's everywhere.
So what kind of changes are we seeing in those fields?
Well, Unreal Engine is becoming a go-to tool in a lot of industries.
Really?
Because of its ability to create these amazing visuals and really immersive experiences.
Yeah.
In filmmaking, it's being used to create virtual sets
Oh, cool.
and characters,
Oh, wow.
which can save a ton of time and money
Yeah, I bet.
and gives filmmakers more creative freedom.
So some of those epic battle scenes in our favorite movies might actually be happening in a virtual world built with Unreal Engine.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And in animation, it's changing how stories are told.
How so?
It's allowing animators to bring characters and environments to life with this level of detail and realism that we've never seen before.
That's amazing.
And I can imagine it's a total game changer for smaller studios that don't have a lot of resources for traditional animation.
Yeah. definitely.
and beyond entertainment.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine is being used in architecture, engineering, even healthcare.
Wow.
Imagine taking virtual tours of buildings before they're even built,
Sounds cool.
or simulating how complex machinery works,
Mm-hmm.
or even training surgeons in this virtual environment
That's amazing.
where there's no risk.
Unreal Engine is literally everywhere.
It's like a digital Swiss Army knife.
It really is.
It can do it all.
So going back to the source material itself,
Yeah.
was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
You know, the thing that really intrigued me was the emphasis on real-time rendering
Mm-hmm.
and how it's really blurring the lines between games and movies.
Right.
This idea that we'll soon be able to interact with virtual worlds that are as visually stunning
Yeah.
and as responsive as our favorite films, it's really exciting.
It's like the difference between passively watching something
Yeah.
and actually participating in it is starting to disappear.
Yeah.
It's like we're becoming part of the stories, not just observers.
Exactly. And that shift is going to have a huge impact on how we engage with information,
Right.
entertainment, and even each other.
It's like this deep dive wasn't just about Unreal Engine 5.
Right.
It was about the future of storytelling itself.
I like that.
Creating experiences that aren't just visually amazing,
Yeah.
but also emotionally engaging and intellectually stimulating.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It highlights how technology, at its core, is a tool for human expression.
Totally.
Boing.
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up, I
Yeah.
have one last question.
Okay.
Our source material touched on the possibility of future regulations
Yeah.
surrounding hyper-realistic VR.
Right.
Is that something we should be concerned about?
It's definitely a conversation we need to have.
Okay.
You know, as virtual reality gets more sophisticated and blurs the lines between real and virtual,
Yeah.
we'll need to think about ethical frameworks
Mhm.
and maybe even legal guidelines
Right.
to protect individuals and make sure this technology is used responsibly.
It's easy to imagine scenarios where someone could be, manipulated
Right.
or harmed
Totally.
in a hyper-realistic virtual environment.
Exactly. As with any powerful technology, there's always the potential for misuse.
Right.
It's up to us to anticipate those risks
Yeah.
and put safeguards in place.
So it's not just about making amazing technology, it's about using it ethically and responsibly.
Well said.
Okay, good.
Technology should enhance our lives, not create new problems.
Yeah, very true.
As we go into this new world of simulated realities,
Right.
we need to do it with a sense of wonder,
Yeah,
but also with careful consideration,
I like that.
you know?
So our source material focused a lot on sight and sound,
Yeah,
the senses that are easiest to replicate in virtual reality.
right.
But what about our other senses?
Mm.
What happens when we can fully engage all of our senses in a virtual world?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, we've made such incredible progress with sight and sound,
Right.
but touch, taste, and smell,
Yeah.
those are a lot harder to
Can you
replicate.
imagine reaching out and actually
Mhm.
feeling the texture of
Yeah.
a virtual object?
Yeah.
Or smelling like fresh baked bread in a virtual bakery?
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
The possibilities are really mind-boggling.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty amazing to think that AI can bring so much life to a virtual world.
It really is.
But all this talk about hyper-realistic graphics and AI
Yeah.
makes me wonder if I need like some crazy expensive supercomputer to run these games.
Oh, that's a good question. But
Yeah.
the great thing about Unreal Engine 5,
Yeah.
that while it's really pushing the limits of what's possible,
Right.
it's also made to be, accessible.
Okay.
They've come up with clever ways to make it run smoothly on a bunch of different hardware.
So you're saying I won't have to sell my car just to upgrade my PC.
Uh-huh. Hopefully not.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
But even with all these advancements, I feel like those super impressive tech demos we see,
Right.
they don't always match up to what we actually get in the games.
That's true.
Yeah.
The tech is still evolving, and there are limitations to what can be done in real time.
Right.
But Unreal Engine 5 is still pretty new.
Yeah.
So as developers get more familiar with it,
Mhm.
we can expect to see even more impressive, realistic games in the next few years.
It reminds me of the early days of 3D graphics,
Oh, yeah.
where everything looked,
Blocky and weird.
blocky and strange.
Okay.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, games started looking like real life.
Right.
So you're saying Unreal Engine 5 is just getting started?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
We're basically witnessing a whole new era in game development and these immersive experiences.
Okay, color me excited.
Uh-huh.
But getting back to creating realistic humans for a sec,
Yeah.
Our source material talked about how hard it is to capture those nuances,
Right.
especially in the eyes.
Yeah.
Why is that such a big challenge?
It comes down to the complexity of human faces,
Yeah.
and how we see them. I mean, we've spent our entire lives reading faces,
Right.
picking up on those subtle little cues,
Yeah.
recognizing people based on tiny details.
Right.
To replicate all of that in a virtual character,
Yeah.
that's a huge task.
So it's not just about making a character look human.
Right.
It's about making them move and express themselves like one.
Totally.
And you were right, the eyes are super important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The eyes are like the windows to the soul for a reason.
Right.
They just tell us so much about what a person is thinking or feeling. When those virtual eyes don't move, right?
Yeah.
Or express emotion convincingly, it triggers that unease.
Oh.
We talked about the uncanny valley.
Right.
Even if the rest of the face looks real.
So it's like our brains are looking for anything that seems off.
Yeah.
Anything that breaks the illusion.
Exactly. And that shows us that even with all this advanced tech,
Yeah.
we're still bound by how we perceive things.
This is getting pretty deep, but it's super fascinating to think about.
I know, right?
Like, what does this mean for the future?
Yeah.
What if we eventually create virtual humans that are basically indistinguishable from real ones?
Right.
What would that mean for how we interact with tech, with each other?
Those are definitely questions we need to think about
Yeah.
as this tech keeps getting better.
It's crazy to think that we could be a few years away from having conversations with virtual beings
Right.
that feel just as real as talking to another person.
I know.
Wow.
It's like we're starting a new chapter
Yeah.
in human history where, like, the definition of human might need to change.
It's incredible to think about how this technology, which, started with video games,
Yeah.
is going to affect so many different parts of our lives.
Totally.
But speaking of that, our source material mentioned Unreal Engine 5
Yeah.
being used in film,
Yes.
animation,
It's amazing.
even by NASA.
I know. It's everywhere.
So what kind of changes are we seeing in those fields because of it?
Well, Unreal Engine is becoming super popular in lots of industries.
Oh, really?
Because of how good it is at creating visuals and immersive experiences.
Yeah.
In filmmaking, it's being used to create virtual sets
Cool.
and characters.
Wow.
And it can save a ton of time and money
I bet.
and gives filmmakers way more creative freedom.
So some of those crazy battle scenes in our favorite movies
Yeah,
might actually be happening in a virtual world
exactly.
built with Unreal Engine. That's wild.
And in animation, it's changing the way stories are told.
So?
It lets animators bring characters and environments to life
Yeah.
with a level of detail and realism that we've never seen before.
That's really cool.
I can imagine this is huge for smaller studios
Yeah.
that can't afford traditional animation.
Right, yeah.
And even beyond entertainment,
Oh,
Unreal Engine is used in architecture,
wow.
engineering, even healthcare.
No way.
Imagine taking a tour of a building before it's even built,
Oh, that's cool.
or seeing how complex machines work, or even training surgeons in this risk-free virtual environment.
That's amazing.
It really is.
Unreal Engine is literally everywhere.
It's like a digital Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
can do it all.
So going back to the source material for a sec,
Yeah.
was there anything that stood out to you specifically?
The thing that really got me was the focus on real-time rendering
Right.
and how it's blurring the line between games and movies.
Right.
This idea that we'll be able to interact with virtual worlds.
Yeah. That are as good as our favorite films, visually.
Yeah.
And they'll respond to us. That's really exciting.
It's like we're not just watching anymore.
Right.
We're participating.
Yeah.
That difference is disappearing.
It's like we're becoming part of the stories.
Yeah.
Not just watching them.
Exactly. And that change
Yeah.
is going to have a huge impact on how we deal with information, entertainment, even each other.
Totally. It's like this deep dive.
Yeah.
Wasn't just about Unreal Engine 5.
Right.
It was about the future of storytelling.
Yeah. Creating experiences that aren't just, visually amazing,
Right.
but they make you feel something. They make you think.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It really shows how tech
Mhm.
is a tool for us to express ourselves.
I'm feeling inspired.
Me too.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I have one last question.
Okay, shoot.
Our source material talked about the possibility of future regulations
Right.
for hyper-realistic VR. Is that
Right.
something we should be worried about?
It's definitely something we need to talk about.
Oh,
as this virtual reality stuff gets more advanced
right.
and starts to really blur the lines between real and virtual,
Yeah.
we have to think about ethical stuff
Right.
and maybe even laws to protect people and make sure this tech is used the right way.
It's easy to imagine situations where someone could be,
Yeah.
manipulated or even hurt
Oh,
in
totally.
a hyper-realistic VR environment.
Exactly. Any powerful tech
Yeah.
has the potential for misuse.
Right, right.
It's our job to see those risks coming
Yeah.
and put protections in place.
So it's not just about making cool technology.
Right.
It's about using it ethically and responsibly.
Well said. Tech should make our lives better,
Right.
not create more problems.
Yeah, very true.
So, as we go into this new world of simulated realities,
Mm-hmm.
we got to do it with a sense of wonder,
Yeah,
but also be careful and think things through,
I like that.
you know?
So our source material focused a lot on sight and sound, the senses that are, easiest to replicate in VR.
Right.
But what about our other senses?
That's a great question.
What happens when we can use all our senses in a virtual world?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
We've made so much progress with sight and sound,
Right.
but touch, taste, and smell,
Right.
those are so much harder to replicate.
Imagine reaching out and actually feeling the texture of a virtual object,
Wow, yeah.
or smelling fresh-baked bread in a virtual bakery.
Oh, man.
Right.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
The possibilities are, like, mind-boggling.
totally. It's wild to think about how much more immersive those experiences would be if we could engage all our senses.
I know, right?
Imagine a cooking game where you can actually smell the spices you're using,
Oh, man, that'd be incredible.
or you could feel the heat of the stove.
Yeah.
Wow.
It'd be like, you're really there.
Right.
The possibilities are mind-boggling.
I know.
Think about a virtual museum where you could run your fingers over ancient artifacts. Or a flight simulator where you can feel the G-forces as you pull out of a dive.
That would be intense.
Yeah.
It'd be like you're really flying.
Exactly.
It takes those virtual experiences to a whole new level.
Totally.
But it also raises even more questions about how we'll separate the real from the virtual, you know what I mean?
Right.
What happens when those lines get so blurred, we can't even tell the difference anymore?
It's exciting, but also a little scary to think about.
Yeah.
It goes back to those ethical implications we talked about earlier.
Right.
What happens when these virtual experiences become so real,
Mm-hmm.
so compelling that they start to affect how we act in the real world?
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right?
But it's becoming more and more likely as this tech keeps advancing.
Exactly. It's a challenge we'll need to face head on.
For sure.
As creators and consumers of this technology,
Yeah.
we have a responsibility to think about these questions and use these tools in a way that actually benefits humanity.
Well, I think we've officially reached peak mind-blown status for today's deep dive.
Aha, yeah, for sure.
We've explored the incredible potential of Unreal Engine 5,
We have.
the challenges it faces,
Yeah.
and the huge questions it raises about the future of technology.
And how we interact with it.
Exactly.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has.
And as we move forward into this uncharted territory,
Yeah.
let's approach it with a sense of curiosity
Right.
and a commitment to using these powerful tools wisely,
I love that.
you know?
To all our fellow deep divers out there,
Yes.
we want to hear from you.
What are your thoughts?
What excites you most about the future of virtual reality?
Yeah, what are your concerns?
Share your insights and your questions, because the future is a collaborative journey.
Absolutely.
And remember,
What's that?
the most incredible discoveries,
Yeah,
they often lie not just in the world around us,
right.
but in the world within ourselves.
I love that.
So keep exploring
Keep asking questions.
and keep diving deep into the boundless realms of knowledge.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Unreal Engine 5.
Until next time.
See you later.